far as like a superhero goes. But no, I do like that scene too. It's just, I love how it's drenched in red. I dig how, no, I don't know. I just like it. And I like when Kay and Regina are going inside and Kay's just sitting there chatting at Sydney. And then Regina's like, come on, Kay. Get your head in the game.
Come on now.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. You know what's funny? I wrote that. I just put having fun on that scene that you're talking about. Because it's just James Wan having fun with color and the production design. And like, no, I love the bottles. In the house, dude. Madison's house. Okay, presumably, they live
She's pretty ballin'.
They live in Seattle.
That's a big house.
It's a big house.
I don't know if you noticed, but the light switches, they're very early 1900s.
Really?
The only reason why I know this is because I did a movie called Lady in the Tramp.
Because of 4K?
Because of 4K. But, I did a movie called Lady in the Tramp that took place in 1910, and the light switches were these 2 buttons. So apparently that was like very popular for many years. I don't know when they stopped doing that, but I think that's actually a lot smarter than the system that we use now. But the light system is just these 2 buttons. You just hit on, off.
Hey.
And I was like, well, that's a very like old thing. Like James Wan really wanted you to feel that this is a very old house.
Wow. And when she gets her head smashed and she falls on the ground, the floorboards are dirty. There's grime in this house. It's not the most well kept home. I mean, I don't see Derek Mitchell cleaning house, but that's a gigantic house. But you know what I love? There's no explanation for it. I just think James Wan wanted a giant house so he could use his spider cam and create some beautiful one thing, and then have the whole gag about Gabriel living upstairs. But I don't know. I love that house because it's so big. There's no reason for it to be big.
Yeah,
but
it could very easily have been an apartment.
But it just creates the gothic feel to it. Like I think he wants that creaking floorboards. He wants that kind of look. And it's funny too. Like Gabriel is part of Madison, but then doors open randomly. Like it's kind of like he's just misleading people and having fun. And I keep saying that he's just having fun, but I dig that about the movie so much.
It's like he wants to give you a paranormal feel to the film, but there is no paranormal feel.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is really nice.
Yeah.
They want to throw everybody off. Like, well, why did you do that? Just to kind of mess with you.
Have fun. Like why? It's interesting too. It's just why can't. I guess I was on the board with this movie the first time I saw it.
Oh man!
And so just hearing, but like you said, I think you were expecting something different. You saw the screen, but it's also silly though. Like I think sometimes there's been some movies I've had to revisit to appreciate, and I think this movie's not for everybody because
no, I don't think so.
They even said it too. James Wan and Ingrid Bisu said like this is a polarizing movie. I mean, you have a person who lives in the back of a woman's head who walks backwards, wears a trench coat, and kills people with a trophy in horribly violent, gory ways. And like I said, there's moments where, when she like, Sydney, I'm adopted, and then and then zooms in on her. I mean, if you're not into it, I could see how people think that this movie is so bad it's good. But also, like you said, like if they don't have a reference in Giallo films, if they don't have a reference in De Palma, which James Wan's clearly riffing on that. So you gotta, like, I guess if you're a cinephile and you watch this, you're a cinephile though, but like I think the screen. Like
I was expecting something else. I really did. One of the things to add to that, Akilah Cooper, who was one of the other people who created this along with Ingrid, one of the movies that she wrote just a few years ago, which is one of my personal favorites, Hellfest. Yes. Which was shot here.
Yeah.
At Six Flags. Which I love that movie. It's a great old school slasher. I mean, there's no rhyme or reason to these kids getting killed, which is why I loved it.
Didn't we do It's Not That Bad?
Yeah, that was part of the It's Not That Bad. That was one of my, I think that was number 2 or number 3. I think that was right before my Triple X3.
She's super.
I can't remember what anybody says. That movie was fantastic.
Triple X3 is amazing.
So good.
Donnie Yen gets shot in that film. And then you think he's dead. And then later on, he's just walking around like, hey, you want a sandwich? Like, and then there's a jet ski scene, but on like
motorcycle jet skis.
Oh man,
it's great.
Tony Jaa's running around like, oh man, I love it. It's beautiful. But no, I think you're right. And you know what I like about her too? She said she has like, they said it's a cornucopia of B-movie influences. And Cooper, she said on Twitter, like, I grew up loving B-grade horror movies, still do. So it thrills me to no end that horror fans enjoy this movie, and it's going to become a cult classic. Like, she said it's going to be a cult classic because this is not Malignant's not a mainstream picture. And that's what I kind of love about her. I mean, she's written some pretty cool, like, if you look at the projects that she's produced.
A lot of TV writing, and a lot of TV is mainly where her meat and bones is at.
And then she's been producing, too. Like, she wrote the screenplay for The Nun, too, which is pretty cool. And then Hellfest. It's not that bad.
Who knows what The Nun 2 will actually be any good or not.
Well, she worked on The 100. Oh, and she wrote... Yeah, I mean, super experienced. I love the screenplay, though, because I think it ties everything well together. I love how the world melts around her when different scenes happen. That there's plenty of surprises in store. So, I don't know. It's the whole crew just loved B movies, I think. Or loved James Wan. I keep saying that. I don't care. I'm going to keep repeating myself.
It's like with the critics. The critics were pretty divided whenever they were talking about this movie as well. They either loved it or they hated it. And there's only a few people that were kind of in the middle. For instance, Frank Schreck from the Hollywood Reporter. He was kind of like, nah, I could take it or leave it. But he explained that in his review for the Hollywood Reporter, he said the movie take ingredients like Dario Argento, Cronenberg, and De Palma, throw them into a blender, and you'll get something approximating to this ambitious but misconceived effort. Which I understand what he's trying to say, but if you go to the people who loved the movie, they say the same exact thing, and that's the reason why they loved it.
At least he got it, right? That makes me happy. At least he understood, like, there is some Cronenbergian, the fly and the body horror.
And James Wan said that in his interview for Collider, that you can't do a movie, a science fiction horror film or body horror film in general without mentioning Cronenberg. But in reality, he didn't think too much into Cronenberg when he was making this, which I do see both sides of that argument. There's elements of The Fly in this, but there isn't.
No.
Like you could say like, well, yeah, he was kind of going with a Brundlefly look, but he also wasn't.
If you make a shark movie, you're like, well, I got to reference Jaws.
Yeah, exactly. Something like or we're gonna do a movie about killer whales. Oh, it's got to be about orca, right?
Yeah.
Which ironically was starring. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
I need to get the Shout Factory Orca. They released a baller edition of it that looks pretty good.
Oh, now my Orca connection. Sorry. Madison Mitchell, who was played by Annabelle Wallis, her uncle was Richard Harris.
Oh, Richard Harris?
So everybody, I've read a lot of people speculating, like, why she was even picked to be in this movie, other than the fact that,
she's in Annabelle.
She's in Annabelle, but I mean, like, she could have been anybody. But like, why did they happen to pick her? And I was like, well, look into her. She's Richard Harris's niece. And for those of you out there that don't know who Richard Harris is, shame on you. But you would probably remember him most as, or at least the younger audiences will remember him as the original Dumbledore. But I immediately remembered him from A Man Called Horse. Remember that movie?
No.
Oh my God, Mark, you got something to do today.
All right, Man Called Horse.
Oh my God, that has probably one of the most wicked, I don't know what you call it, ceremony scenes ever. I mean, oh my! I'm not even going to spoil it for you because I know that there's people out there that are probably beating their heads, going, "Oh my God,
I hate you, Mark!" Driving off bridges.
Man. Yeah, but Richard Harris was also the star of Orca.
I love it. Like Annabelle Wallis. She said she did this movie because, well, the Annabelle connection that made bank. But then she said James Wan's like the bravest filmmaker, one of the bravest filmmakers out working. And I think this movie was kind of brave. What do you think?
Well, yeah, I mean, you really have to like get into that, which was the movie is kind of like a bland storyline. Like we've seen movies like this in the past. Like I mean, this is what Total Recall. I literally just thought of that right off the top of my head. But I mean, Total Recall. It's the same thing with Quaid. I mean, it's not that unusual to see a movie with somebody else attached to them that's causing the damage. I mean, Tales from the Crypt has like what I can think of two. The one with the two brothers that are conjoined at the hip, and the other one with. Starring Bobcat Goldthwait when he has the thing on his hand. I think Don Rickles is in that too. But it's like, yeah, you can. There's a bajillion of these stories. They're not that uncommon. So it is brave of him to actually get into this because he's taking something that's not a very complicated storyline. It's something that hasn't been done before, and he's totally making it his own.
Yeah.
So it's really like pushing it. And you're like, well, it's James Wan, so we're gonna expect this, we're gonna expect that, but. You don't expect what's happening because, I mean, no one would have seen a backwards killer. I never would have thought of that ever.
Yeah.
Like, I never would have been like, oh, okay, well, it's a conjoined twin. So the evil one that's doing the bidding, it turns out they can actually detach themselves at night. No, we're literally going to have it inside of her head and the thing comes alive at night. Why does she not ever notice any of this happening? I don't know. What's kind of yada yada that. But I love it. It's like...
It's beautiful. And like, I guess the back of her head, like she keeps feeling the blood on there. They lead to that so many times.
Yeah, and you just kind of go, oh, well, because then you think, the audience thinks, oh, it must still be because her head hasn't healed because her husband slammed her head against the wall. Mm-hmm. That's what I thought. Yeah. At first.
And then her skull just opens wide up and then Gabriel pops out. I mean, do you think it's kind of an unselfish role from Annabelle Wallis? I mean, because she's worked, like she's been in The Mummy, she's been in Peaky Blinders, she's been in some pretty big films.
Guy Ritchie's King Arthur, which I think I'm the only one on the planet that loved it.
I mean, yeah, that's not a bad movie. Like
it's a great movie. It's not that bad.
It's not that bad. She works, and so I don't know. But I think it's an unselfish role for her because she's just the paranoid. Remember in those movies, like you said with De Palma, right? There's always that paranoia, like I don't know what's going on. It was this, it was that. I think she nails it good, though. I mean, the frailty of the character, I think. She's beaten down well enough. But I guess when I think about this movie, I don't really think about Annabelle Wallis. I think about chair throws. But I don't know. I think it's an unselfish performance. Does that make sense? Because is this a character that could be... When you think about this movie, do you think about Madison Mitchell?
No. You think of the backwards killer. So she's really sharing the movie with everybody else. Yeah. She doesn't try to take the lead, even though she is the lead.
It's interesting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess she knew what the role was, took it on, did just fine.
I wonder what she thought of when she first read the script. I would like to see what the original script was before the rewrites, actually.
Yeah.
I guarantee the sister was killed. I guarantee it. I'm saying it here on Movies, Films, and Flicks.
Hey.
I guarantee it.
Well, send him, tweet him. Send him a tweet. Tweet him! No, but I think, I really love that the sister lives, though, because... You're watching this movie, and I love the subversion of it because I just love this little movie, man. When I was watching this, I'm like, oh, she's dead. Like, why is she going there alone? This is so stupid. The next scene, she's alive, and I don't think I've been more elated. Have you seen We Summon the Darkness?
No.
Oh, she's like.
I think it's that one. And what was the other one you wanted me to watch? The Wicked thing?
Oh, Dark and the Wicked.
Yeah, I have to watch those.
What I like about, let's see. We Summon the Darkness, but that Maddie Hasson, she just plays this like maniac in it. I would like to like have a Malignant movie where like that's her other side. I don't know how to work that out, but that'd be pretty cool to see. Like, but yeah. So you know what? Go back, listen to our We Summon the Darkness episode. Listen to our Dark and the Wicked episode. Actually, go watch those movies, Chris. Listen to the episode, then come back, and then we'll come back and we'll talk more Malignant. But I don't know, what else do you... I know you always come with tons of notes, man. Like, you come from classic American movies. So, you're a classic American movies guy. You always have tons of notes for me. So, anything else you got?
I have a lot.
I was hoping you'd be like, no, Mark.
And that's it. That's that. Cut the check. We're done.
Cut the check.
One of the some interesting things. Madison Mitchell, Annabelle Wallis. She speaks fluent Portuguese and knows French and Spanish.
Hey,
she just knows enough to get by. She doesn't know fluently. She was actually from Portugal.
Knows how to get to the bathroom and order a beer. ¿Dónde está el baño? Dos cervezas.
George Young, he's actually a British actor. There's a lot of British people that were involved in this movie. There was a good bit of people that were from all over, but there was predominantly British people that were involved in this movie. George Young was one of the British folks, and he studied psychology and law. He's actually a fully qualified lawyer in England and Wales.
He's a lawyer?
Yeah.
Wow.
And he also has 2 brothers with autism, and he raises awareness for the condition through his campaigns and charity drives. He wrote and directed a short film called Home that focuses on
You're shaking the leg, and I was feeling like the whole thing moving. I'm like, can that get heard? All right, sorry. Go. Wait 5 seconds and then jump back in. Sorry. All
right. George Young, he's a British actor. Actually, this movie has a ton of British actors in it. But he studied psychology and law, and he's a fully qualified lawyer in England and Wales. He has 2 brothers with autism, and he raises awareness for the condition through campaigns and charity drives. And he wrote and directed a short film called Home that focuses on living with a family member that has autism. And most folks would probably recognize him from the television show Containment. That was actually shot here.
Hey.
And takes place in Atlanta.
Hey.
Hey.
He's cool, man. I like George Young.
He has a very good presence about him.
Yeah.
I like the way he just he looks natural. He doesn't look like he's acting, I think. Is the best way to put it?
No, that makes sense. Yeah, and and you know what I like too? He's different from Wahlberg's character in and dead silence, because Wahlberg's character in that was like, oh, I'm a grumpy cop, and this one
he didn't play a grumpy cop very well. I mean, they were like, we're going to take Saw 2 and just make it into. Although I did like how he always had an electric razor. I thought that was hilarious.
I'm super jaded, but no, like I like George. He's not jaded yet.